Since last week's debate show where Gavin failed to show or give any argument where theism is rational, I have had many talks about Christianity being rational or irrational. So Gavin...
How does it feel to be such a total failure?
Probably not good. Anyway, to make up for it, this week we have James Capo with Light, Hope, and Truth channel with their 3 rational proofs. Clip Demon, what do you think is going to take for any of these to get past scrutiny? Well, I can only imagine if you're setting me up with this guy, that he has something special for me.
Sorry if that's weird.
Why would it be weird? Clip Demon?
This is going to be very entertaining.
So like we said, we have James Capo up for the next guest. James is a pastor of several churches from Arizona and, Alaska. How that works, we won't know unless people are tuned in on the internet. He's a rock climber, outdoor enthusiast, and hasn't been arrested like one of our favorite channel guests, Kent Hovind. James also happens to be an amateur photographer with some of his work posting in Discern magazine. All in all, he's a nice guy. Speaking of which, we need to be nicer to the guests from now on.
Okay, fine.
Don't act like that, ACD. Now, say something nice.
I have standards.
Well, they aren't very high.
What did you say?
Nothing. Just please ask the video clip angel to play the first video clip, please. Please.
Can you really know God exists? Or is that something you have to just accept on blind faith? Well, God says, "Come now, and let us reason together."
Well, it is blind faith. To think the Bible is true and God exists, you have to accept what the Bible says is true, since that is the starting place, and in fact, the only place we read about the Christian God. So to talk about God in the first place, you would have to have that blind faith. Now, blind faith isn't really a bad thing, but in a significant amount of cases, it is a bad thing on what you do with it. Like being deceitful. Christians, well, some Christians, like to hand out these. These are religious tracts. They tend to be misleading on the outside with the religious content on the inside rather than being straightforward. From John chapter 8 verse 44 and 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 33, God is not a God of confusion, and it is Satan that lies and confuses. So then why is it that so many churches promote passing out these confusing lies and deceitful papers? Personally, I see it as biblically supporting the acts of Satan, and Christians should shun doing things like this. I myself was once approached by a Christian at a fireworks display and handed one. I was told to put it in my pocket and read it at home. I read a little in the dim light and saw what it was. Then I confronted the gentleman. He literally left with his tail between his legs. I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but this is something I feel very strongly against for religious reasons. If you want to preach your gospel mythos to people, at least be honest about it and your blind faith.
So can a rational, intelligent person reasonably believe in God?
Nope. To believe in the God he is talking about, Christianity, you can't get there with a rational justification. Only an irrational justification. Here's the thing. Arguments for the faith all start with a vicious circular argument or a baseless argument. But let's see how this guy goes.
Today, let's look at 3 rational proofs God exists.
Rational! This I gotta hear. Unless James is going to assault the fossilized Diohippus like all the others tend to do.
I mean, the laws of physics explain how the cosmos works, but physics doesn't explain how the cosmos came to be, or who wrote the laws of physics. I mean, who designed the rules by which the universe functions?
No one made the laws. no one came up with them or wrote them or invented them. When James says things like these and assumes that a who instead of a how, or trying to include a what in the question, he is priming the question by assuming God exists in the first place. He has no basis for using the word who at this point. From here he quotes Albert Einstein with, "Everyone who is seriously involved in the pursuit of science becomes convinced that a spirit is manifest in the laws of the universe, a spirit vastly superior to that of a man, and one in the face of which we, with our modest powers, must feel humble." This is a partial quote Einstein gave in response to a 6th grade schoolgirl who asked Albert if scientists pray. Einstein didn't say what he did to gain the praise of other scholars. He did it to comfort a sad, upset girl. So not really something to be scholarly for quotation.
More and more scientists of all stripes are recognizing that there is incredible, complex design throughout the universe, and in even the most basic of cells and molecules. Design that defies explanations by random chance. Design that points clearly to an intelligent designer.
And there it is. Intelligent design. This argument is a prime example of the whole "we don't know, therefore God" argument. The human race has repeatedly come up with gods to explain what we don't know yet. The key word here is yet, which is the entire point. Some Native Americans had their spirits they would call out to or refer to when talking about how things came to be. Angry spirits bringing calamity, prosperous spirits bringing a hunt, a spirit for this and a spirit for that, all to explain why things are happening that they don't understand or can't explain. The Romans regularly invented new gods and new deities to worship. Jupiter and his wife Juno, Saturn, Mercury, Apollo, Ceres, and they would have temples made to these gods to appease them and appeal to them. Same thing with the Greek mythos and the Chinese mythos, Japanese mythos, and now the Christian mythos, stemming from the Canaanite mythos of Baal, Eshmun, Shamayim, Shalom, and of course El, which eventually became Elohim, or Yahweh, the Christian God. All of these gods are coming from different pantheons, and the only real reason Christians worship the one they do is because that ancient tribe won out in the end and was adopted into the Roman pantheon, which eventually became singular. All these gods were simply made to answer a question we didn't know the answer to as a cop-out instead of doing any actual research. Getting a little off track, but the point here is, if one of those other gods won the wars, we might be sitting here talking about Apollo's gospel message and saying it was Jupiter that was the creator and the designer. And even if there were to be a god, why is it every theist immediately thinks it's theirs? I have heard Muslims give this argument too, and I used it when I was a Wiccan. Not once have I ever heard anyone give an argument on how it is their own God and not someone else's. Just another question humanity can't answer, and God gets plugged in to fill the hole.
Well, let's look more closely at 3 things that give us evidence that God exists.
You mean that wasn't one of them? Well, we'll call that last argument your freebie and see how badly you fail 3 more times, shall we?
Let's do this.
ACD, I was wondering where you were. The video angel was helping me out a lot.
Wow, I feel so loved here.
Well, you are loved, even though you can be a bit of a jerk sometimes. Let's both, all 3 of us, get this done then. ACD, let's you and I sit back, and we'll see what's next from the video angel.
Pure angelic power.
I meant the clip.
Of course, sir.
First, let's look at the very existence of the physical universe itself. I mean, how did it come to be?
Well, when a mommy universe and a daddy universe love each other very much... Okay. The universe has always existed. The stuff in it...
Hold that thought.
What? Why?
But the physics and the cosmology that we do know, they show us that the universe came into existence in what has been described as a Big Bang, a cosmic explosion of everything out of nothing, about 13.8 billion years ago.
Oh boy. Well, where do I begin? Like I said before, the universe has always existed. The energy in the universe came from a point of near infinite energy that expanded, likely due to quantum fluctuations in quantum mechanics as we understand them. Quantum randomness started the expansion, and it's been going ever since. So no, the universe didn't come from nothing. In fact, that's the theist worldview. They think the universe itself had a beginning and came out of nothing at all. From their view, God caused nothing to become something by expanding nothing into nothing, so it was something, or God took a whole bunch of nothing and caused it to be something already, exactly where he wanted that nothing to be something.
Wait, what?
Now really, which sounds sillier? That something expanded to make a more spread out something, or that nothing became a something because a supernatural thing affected nothing to become a something?
Well, my vote is gone.
I know where my vote stands. Please don't get a headache from trying to wrap your head around what sounds less coherent than nothing in the never-ending story. Either way, it can be said that the universe as we know it had a beginning, because the universe did begin to expand. Just before that, it wasn't expanding yet. So this argument that theists use isn't really a good argument at all. Now, do we know everything about the Big Bang?
No.
But we can't just insert God there as an explanation just because we can't understand everything now. He goes on about this for way too long. More than half of the video goes by on this topic alone. A long, drawn-out bullshit session of intelligent design with a plethora of fallacies.
What is a plethora?
Really?
Really?
It's a lot. It means you have a lot, a large amount. And that was a lot of filibustering I had to skip just to get through this.
But let's consider another rational proof of a rational creator.
It's about damn time.
And that's the very ability that we have to reason at all.
Well, at least it's something new for the channel. Ability to reason. Before I get into the explanation, let's hear his first.
Now consider this for a minute. Let's take God out of the picture. We're left with a Big Bang that produced matter and energy. And eventually, by the properties of material nature, physics, gravity, chemistry, atoms and molecules came together and they formed dust clouds and rocks, spinning planets in space. Eventually, evolutionary theorists tell us, chemical bonds started forming out of lifeless space rocks and electrified ooze to form the first amino acids and protein chains, the rudimentary elements of life. Where did the ability for the ooze to think come from?
To start off, the ooze isn't the thing that is thinking. Don't be silly. So what is thinking exactly? It's just the control center of the organism. Even single-celled organisms can perform rudimentary thinking, decision-making, recognizing food and reacting to something that would hurt it. This is an evolutionary trait. The organism that developed it wasn't hurt when the thing touched something dangerous, and then it learned and was able to propagate. From there, a brain starts to develop in different and varying ways, all stemming from basic learning of yum and ouch. Brains start to develop in various ways in different creatures, but this goes back to the first thing of an intelligent design too. They're connected. Intelligent design would not have made a squid with a torus for a brain that would be damaged if it eats something too big. But back on topic here. Different animal brains have different levels of cognitive function, but they can all think to some extent, all evolving from the most basic of organisms. And this is all what scientists understand already. It's nothing really new here. Different animals evolved different traits to survive. Speed, claws, teeth, tails, and in our case, the most prominent was the brain. Not the ear, the brain. Behind the ear. Got that. We evolved to think at a higher and higher level than other species on the planet. This separated us and made us the apex predator we are today, since our brains helped us to develop more and more sophisticated tools to hunt and defend ourselves. In the end of this, just because we can think doesn't mean we were created. It just means we can think and have a very good understanding of the ability to think evolved.
How did a rock start to think?
It didn't, dumbass. See, this is why I detest these kinds of arguments. Sorry for the language, but I'm going to jump on my soapbox here a minute and assault the fossilized Eohippus a bit. Christians, when I have debated them, have always tried really hard to say dishonest and disingenuous things just to try to make things sound ridiculous. I mean, I could say that his magical mystical sky daddy came out with his magic wand after existing for an eternity in the past in a huge vat of nothingness, just swirling around an empty void for eternity, and somehow at some point finally said he was bored and in perfect English spoke the words to create something for himself to live in, and why not build a glorified ant farm for him to control, and do something like a petulant child playing with his toys so he could pour water down and drown everything just for fun and shine lasers on it and make plagues just to fuck with his pretty little ant farm, while saying that a few special ants he loves more than the others right over here should be the ones that live and take over. He helps kill all the other ants in his little ant farm, and because they're just stupid ants, he will do whatever he wants. The Christian God acts like a bratty little child on a temper tantrum that has now grown the fuck up and leaves the ant colony to his creation alone. And you believe this shit? I mean, that sounded stupid, right? But what did I just describe? I just described the flood of Noah, the plagues, and the Israelites coming out of their city to kill all the cities around them because they worshipped other gods. What I just did was entirely biblical. Just a really stupid and cheeky way to describe it to make it sound even more ridiculous than it already is.
He's had enough!
Fair point. Okay, I'm done. He babbles on about this again for an extended length, just asserting that it was his God that did it all, and yet again plugging his God into the gap of understanding. Now, the dumbest part about all this is he only gives 2 arguments and not 3 after he says he's going to give 3. But he snuck the first one in on us early, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and instead of saying it was his bonus, we'll just say it was bad editing. In the end, it's all just the usual bad arguments and no proofs. That's all you're ever going to get from these guys. The only people this would convince is someone that already believes in the Bible. Well, that's another Faith Around and Find Out Friday. We're back to the regular routine after last week's debate special. ACD, you didn't get a chance to talk last week. Did you enjoy your week off?
Yes!
I smell brimstone. Did you visit your friends in hell?
Maybe.
Just as long as you didn't bring them up here with you.
Why are you so lame?
Because I live in a house, not a mansion. I don't have room for all these guys.
Well, you have fun with that, bro.
Okay, well, let's close it up here. I am Corsi, and this is The Fluffy Atheist. Put those like and subscribe buttons, and share this if you want to share a funny video with friends, or you'll want to point and laugh. I'm good either way.